Hi, Doug.
Here. I don't know who that is, but that's not true.
That's what we do, sir. I know by me.
We can say, we can go ahead and start our meeting now.
Oh, it's already going.
Yeah, we can do that.
We're waiting on our engineer, he's just south of Mona, so he should be here shortly, so we'll do some other business first.
No, this has to only be about the water project.
Then
I mean,
Yeah, I can talk through rates if there's any project-related questions that I'll have to
Yeah.
defer to Ken.
Okay,
But the public hearing is on the rates, so.
okay.
do you want to start that then?
All right, Kevin, you can,
Yep. So my name is Tyler Koffel. I work for Baker Tilly. Many of you have probably seen Amber here before. Amber focuses more on the cities and towns side of things, and I'm more focused on utilities. So I kind of stepped in and helped the utility with this water bond issuance. So today I'm going to go through kind of at a high level the rate study that we just updated yesterday. This is pretty much the same thing as Amber presented about a month ago, but it's a little bit of a better picture. So I've got extra copies if anybody wants them. So page 2 is just your schedule of project costs and funding. There's really nothing that changed on this page other than your cost of issuance and rounding. There were some costs of issuance that were higher than we originally anticipated. But overall, your funding, the total project cost is $2,426,000. Your proposed bonds are $1,724,000. There's an Okra grant that you got for $700,000, and you have cash on hand for $2,000. Any questions there? Okay, so the reason we had to update the rate study was yesterday, was on page 3, and it was because the project qualified for traditional funding through the SRF program. So you were originally in the pool program, which is not subsidized interest rates. SRF just gets a loan themselves and then reloans it to communities. But now you're in the traditional program, which gave you an interest rate of 3.13%. The prior interest rate that we were assuming was 4.1%, so you're about a whole percentage point lower. That resulted in debt service payments of about $8,000 less per year than what we were originally assuming. So we got, although it was last second, we did get good news. Any questions there? Okay. The bonds will be paid off over a 20-year period. Your average annual debt service is about $116,000 per year. So page 4 is a 5-year cash flow, kind of laying out the proposed rate adjustments and comparing those rate adjustments to your required balances. So we'll focus on 25 and then you can kind of look through the rest of it. But annual operating receipts, you currently collect about $207,000 in annual operating receipts per year. That's your metered collection, your collections and your hydrant rental. The receipts from proposed rate adjustment, that's using the rate adjustments that are laid out at the bottom of the page. We'll get into those in just a second. So your total adjusted operating receipts for 2025 are $222,000. Your annual operating disbursements are $167,000, leaving you with $55,000 to pay for debt and capital and pilot payment with tax. So when all is said and done in 2025, we estimate that you'll have a $27,000 positive cash flow. And you'll see in a minute that you'll need to kind of build up cash because as time goes, your required reserves will grow due to some restrictions that are set forth in the bond ordinance. So you'll see the above, below minimum reserve requirements. What we were really targeting was in 2029 to have you just above the minimum reserve requirements. That's a target that is set and required for your bond ordinance. That's broken down into 3 prongs, I'll say. So the first one is your operation and maintenance fund. You have to have 2 months of operating disbursements reserved in that fund at all times. The second one is your bond and interest fund. So at the end of every 6-month period, you have to have your next bond payment reserved. And then the third one is your debt service reserve, which is a safeguard for the Indiana Finance Authority You make transfers over a 60-month period to fund that account, just in case you don't have funds to make a future payment. So it's essentially a savings account sitting there in case you can't make a future payment. They have that sitting there to pay it. So at the end of the 5-year period, you've got about $4,800 in reserves above your minimum requirements. So we're not showing an excess positive cash flow. We're pretty much doing the bare minimum. So the rate adjustments that get you there, so originally when Amber presented, we presented a 74% rate adjustment. With the decrease in interest rates, it's down to 67. So the way we broke that down is over a 3-phase period, 3 phases, the same thing we presented the last time. The rate adjustments are just lower now. So September 1, 2025 is a 22% increase. That's $7.41 on a 4,000 gallon bill. July 1st, 2026 is your second phase. Again, that's $7.41 on your monthly bill. And then the final phase is January 1, 2027 of $7.49. So in total, that rate adjustment again is 67%. It's about a $22 increase on your monthly bill, but due to the health of the water utility, we were able to spread that increase out over a 16-month period to kind of avoid rate shock as much as possible. So at the end, January 1, 2027, when that final phase goes into effect, your 4,000 gallon user rate is $55.40. It's $2.13 lower than what we presented in the last race day. Kind of went through a lot there. Do you have any questions?
I don't have any at this time. Does anybody else? Any questions?
Yeah, why do we need a new one? As I understand it, we meet the state requirements as far as the water is concerned. Well, why are we wanting to jump in here to a $2 million bill?
Project.
Well, when our engineer here gets here, he can explain better, but our water system, we've had problems the last couple of years.
Yeah, but some of those
It's
are
fixed now.
self-inflicted.
Well, that's true.
It is?
It's altogether different than it was 6 months ago.
Yeah. When they had all that nasty water, I understand it was because they wasn't operating it properly.
I don't know whether it's operation or whatever you replaced on it, but when the well pump was fixed, the water was fixed.
That wasn't fixed everywhere, it's fixed for a year and a half, for sure.
I've got 2 different meters, one's on a softener, one's not on a softener, and both of them cleaned it. I don't have to clean my softener every month. I mean, it's just altogether different.
And he was having trouble and I wasn't having it.
Well, I've had trouble too, so I mean.
Well, I guess it's where you're at.
I'll let Greg or Ken answer those kind of questions. I'm not even gonna try to go.
As I understand it now, it's pretty well all fixed to where everybody's getting decent water.
So like you said, Ken can address those questions. I will say the 2 components of the projects don't have anything to do with the collection system other than one of it is meters. So replacing meters that have been out there for a long time, and then the other piece of it is filter plant improvements.
So we just had a new meter a couple of years ago. So what, do we need more, I mean, why do we need another one?
Those meters will be obsolete.
Okay.
A lot of
Like I
them,
say, ours is fairly new.
a lot of them are several years old anyway. Yours just happened to be updated within the last few years. There's some that haven't been updated probably since I was born. It's just lack of updating and maintenance has required us to do this project, and the grant came about. And this is, I don't know. I don't want to speak.
One of the reasons that I proposed that we go forward with this is because currently we have an older system in place. We have a lot of old equipment out there, and it's functioning at the moment. But 3 years down the road, it may not be functioning. Then we have to replace it. And what we were told from Amber last meeting was that the SRF, which helps fund and gives us the grant to pay for this will no longer be viable in 3 years. It took us 3 years to get to this point. So if we don't move on this now and do something and upgrade our water so that it takes care of the future, not just today, but the future, then we're not gonna be able to afford to take and fix it if it does go bad. Like Lowell, everybody knows where Lowell's at. They have a water system up there, and they couldn't afford to keep it going, so they ended up selling it. And the reason that people buy it is because it's gonna make money. They're gonna make money with it.
Then
Because
it's
you gotta have water.
mismanagement on Lowell's part.
Huh?
It's mismanagement on Lowell's part.
It may be mismanagement, but if you're, we don't have enough money to fix it.
Because if John can make money with it and Joe can't, that's mismanagement.
The thing is in 3 years, we're not gonna have funding available to where we can take and pay for anything.
Well, why did
If
they
we don't
wait so
fix
long?
it.
Well, we only got $2,000 right now, according to this.
Yeah,
But at the current rates, we no longer have a bond issue to pay back. That money will be stockpiled every year. It will be accumulating because the rates aren't going down.
well, it's not gonna get to the point where if we have a problem 3 years from now or 5 years from now, we're not gonna have the money to fix it.
Who decided the system out here at the park is no longer viable?
Me. I'll take
And you're
full
certified for
responsibility.
that?
I'll take responsibility for the fact that it needs updating.
Everything out there is serviceable.
It wasn't just that, it was the issue that we've been having last year and the year before with the bad water in town, and all the updating, like the little stuff that had been accumulating, that was just building up. And Amber from Baker Tilly, I don't know if you could speak on this, but at the last meeting, she said, there's a lot of towns around here, and even just in all of Indiana, that are our size or around our size, that are falling into this, where you have to do a big project because of lack of maintenance and updating from previous years. It's nobody's fault, but everyone's just
Well, I can
trying.
understand it. We have a system out there that meets all state requirements, or else you couldn't sell the water.
But would you just want to live by the bare minimum is the issue? We're
Uh-huh.
wanting to
I
prepare
have all my
everyone.
life. Why change that?
We're trying to better the quality of life for all the residents too.
You aren't on the ones that are on fixed income. You know, their social security ain't goes on
Well, I'm on a fixed income, and I hate to see an increase too, but I look at it sort of like a car. A car,
I wondered why you brought that up.
okay. That, I have a car, and it starts to nickel and dime me. So what do? Do I get something better, or do I keep doing nickel and diming?
Okay, let's go back to this car. You brought it over to me, it wasn't running right. I could fix it with one spark plug, but let's put a whole new motor in.
But what happens if, okay, it's a spark plug now, which is cheaper, well, then the next time it might be a little bit of a transmission. It's something that you have to look forward to and decide which is going to be the best. And of course, I came in at the tail end of this, and I don't know nearly as much as those two. But this one I taught, so that's why she's so smart. But I don't know, I just thought, I still think that improving the water system is going to help the next generation and the generation after that. We have minimal pollutants in our water, and even though they're under state standards, so anyway, but that's the reason why I was.
Why did we wait so long?
Well, that's a good question.
I mean, why, if you knew this was happening, why wasn't it brought forth before now?
I mean, we can't speak on previous boards either.
Sorry.
I think one of the things is
too.
because of the grant. I think that's why, because we had that money, that we wouldn't have to do all of it, we'd have to get a grant. I don't know.
What's the end goals, I guess, beyond replacing your meters? What do you want to achieve from
The
changing this?
water quality.
Drinking water quality?
Water quality, yeah,
Strictly.
as a whole, yeah.
Sorry. Where do you do the testing at, so say that are meeting state standards?
For which standard?
The state standards.
The
that's
state-
what I-
State,
Is it done at the
it's done
plant?
at the plant, yes.
Okay. I think I live right behind you.
I don't know who you are.
Yeah, I live on Market Street. When I tested my water, because I don't drink my water, the hardness of the water is over state standard, so I don't drink any of my water.
It's still gonna be.
And it's still gonna be that way then if you're good there.
Ken can answer that, but it will be less.
Yeah. Listen,
The other option that we didn't go with was salt water because of the cost.
you mean for the
The entire, yes.
So you're using a plastic system, a recirculated regeneration system?
Yeah, it's a 3-stage process and without the paper in front of me.
March per million when I put mine in, now it's up around 40. The new well was harder water than what the old one was. But when you go down 8 foot, you hit limestone, so I wonder why we got hard water.
Hard to go around.
You're gonna have it no matter what around here.
We did have some other things that were in the water that they've tested, and Ken can cover that as far as what they did find. And one of them, the sulfur algae that we had, slime, that we treat right now.
I think he's taking the scenic route from Monon.
Yeah,
Just get used it.
But we're looking 16 months out from now, so there's opportunity or likelihood that some of those communities that are under you are going to have projects happening. There's a aging infrastructure issue that's going on right now, as you hit on earlier, where systems were put in place 20, 30, 40 years ago, and things need to be replaced. And there's some rate shock going on, and
Ken just rather than doing that.
So everyone received, obviously, the paper, that's why you're here, but the graph that you saw, like he was saying, this Francesville 2027 is at 5540. That's us in 2.5 years, and currently the state average is $9 less. So by then, everyone else will be increasing because that's how the world is. Everything increases year to year because of, that's just how it is. And so by then, we will be more equal to everyone else. Like Winnemac is on here. Mid-Airyville currently is just as high as we will be in 2.5 years. Reynolds is $5 more currently. So it's just, we don't obviously want to be more than that, and we don't want this, but we have to. That's just a need.
To me, it doesn't matter what Mac's doing or Rensselaer's doing. We need to do what's best for Francesville and the water service. So
There isn't anything that says we gotta keep up with.
right. So I mean, I understand that's a comparison, but it doesn't matter. We need to do what's best for us here. So if that's, I mean, if that's what's being proposed, that's what's best for us, then fine. But if that's what's proposed because we want to be closer with Joe, then
Can I comment on that?
absolutely.
When I took this job and I seen what we have down here, I wasn't concerned about anybody else but us. This is where I grew up, this is where I live. This isn't about trying to make things harder on anybody. This is to better this community, 110%.
I mean, that's,
110%.
Yeah, I agree, but sometimes that will make it harder on some of the people here in town. The ones that are on a fixed income, that are getting a social security check that is, they're just barely squeaking by now. That was my whole thing.
I understand that. I was upset last year when this project got proposed and we knew it was gonna go up. We didn't necessarily know until this year the increase that it was gonna be, but in my head, I knew I'm not leaving here. I wanna make sure my kids and my grandkids will be able to drink the water here. There's people in town who don't drink the water and never have, and never will. But I wanna make it there's no reason they couldn't now, but they will for sure be able to when this project is done. I want to make sure, last year when we had the issue, who's to say that won't happen again in a month or two when it gets washed up and people can't bathe their kids because the water's coming out black. This is to ensure that doesn't happen.
The system that we have isn't big enough, as crazy as that might sound to some, isn't big enough for the community. It's just not. It can't keep up. It's part of the issue with the problems that we've had in the past.
I just go back to the well-engineered system we had put in on the last bond issue. It was
didn't work.
absolutely junk.
You're 100%
It
right.
had to be thrown away and old chlorine system put back in.
Correct.
So we got to pay for both of them.
Well, you can kind of address that being your engineer.
This
This is Ken Smith, he's with the engineering group.
we started at, understanding water chemistry before we did anything. So we took tests and came out and did more tests. So we tested the 2 wells, well, 2 and 3, that's part, we didn't, so we understood pretty well what the water chemistry was for both wells. We tested both together, we tested both separately, so we designed an aeration, chemical addition, filtration system, and we have the future capacity to put salt in if you choose to. You have some hard water, but we put a secondary detention in as well. And we sized it all 200 plus gallons a minute, where the previous filters were, well, undersized.
They were never used.
Yeah, so this filter system is being used in a number of different places. I think Goodland has something similar, I think one on and then we can take you around if you wanted to tour, get a bus and take you guys over and see it if you wanted to. But it's a system. Matter of fact, we have the permit from, I know you probably got a permit last time, but this time, not only did we get a permit, we had to send it through the IDEM's engineers, or State Revolving Funds engineers. What we were gonna do, we had submitted a preliminary engineering report saying this is what we're gonna do. And we had to submit it through IDEM, we have the permit now for the construction. So they all took a look at it as well and had a bunch of questions, so. I can't, 99.9% sure that it will improve your water considerably. You still may have some hardness in your water, but it will eliminate the manganese, it will eliminate the iron, eliminate the odor and other taste issues. Because we took a hard look at what the source water was. And we kept getting different results, so we kept testing it. We understood the wells aren't the same for some reason. They're pretty close together, but one of them's a little worse than the other one.
One's lower.
Yeah, so we set it for the worst well. So we set our aeration, how long we gotta aerate the well, the water before it goes through the detention. We had chemical addition quantities, that's adjustable. We had detention filtration. We have a manganese media, which is a different type of media. We did not choose a typical coal type media. This media has coal in it, but it's coated by another material that collects and attracts through ionization the manganese, which has a -3 and the iron is -2. This is positive charges in it, so it takes it and tracks it. So not only are we hitting with chemicals oxidized, the coal's acting like a magnet to pull it to it and hold it in place until we back water. Then we'll have additional detention and chemical addition on the outside after that's completed. So understanding the chemistry, understanding exactly what's going on, we designed the system, we submitted through SRF engineers, through IDEM's engineers, and we sized it. So you're gonna have a very large tank in the drawings. If you want to see the drawings, we can see the drawings. It's a very big tank, 4-cell unit. And having done this in the past with similar water, you'll get a much better quality of water. We did look at a couple of different options, price down, and I think we came just a little bit over the cost. I think we were right at, where were we? A little bit over the cost, just slightly over what we said it would take to do the job. So, but again, if you want to see other systems, you're going to see the drawings. If I can answer any other questions, you want to do a tour of what's there now, be happy to come out and talk to you about it. So you said it's a back filtering, a backwashing system, like a diatomaceous earth system, or? No, it is basically the water normally goes down through the gravity filter. Then all that stuff gets collected on the unit. Yeah. Then we reverse the water flow and it goes the other direction. And it lifts all that stuff up through a pipe that goes out to your wastewater plant.
It's like a diatomist filter on a spool,
Yeah.
but it has an element, chemical element.
Well, have you checked with any other company on a price?
What the price?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had open bids and we got, 2 come in and we approved them.
You got three companies?
2.
Two?
We have to put it in the newspaper twice, we have to send it out to plan rooms, we send it out to Construct Connect to Dodge, we send it out to the India plan room, and then SRF puts it out. So it goes out to a number of different contractors that are interested.
Who ended up winning, or has it been awarded yet?
I don't think you awarded it yet. The low respective bidder was EJP for the meters, which you have experience with. And then Shin Brothers was a low contractor for the plant work itself, Shin Brothers. That's SHINN Brothers, and the EJP is Everett J. Prescott. Both of those have depth of experience. And on the meter side, they're gonna do some additional work besides just replace the meters. If there's a pit that needs to be replaced, if there's a pipe or a valve that needs to be replaced, they're gonna improve the distribution as well as the treatment.
And you've worked with the Shin Brothers before then?
I've worked with them 4 or 5 different projects. I think everybody's worked with EJP, they've been around.
What type of meters are you putting in for bidding?
Neptune, or no, Taylor.
Hamster.
Hamster. They're radio read meters. Antenna, then you can drive by or get a button here at town hall. I'm not sure if it's AMI or AMR, but you can drive by and pick the signal up. Also, it'll let you, for example, if you have a water leak and normally it'll read your readings, if you use 4,000 a month every month, all of a sudden you're using 6,000 or 7,000.
I bet you won't show money
Good.
when you only use 100 gallon a month.
You may be getting free water,
That meter's gonna come out anyway.
but it will tell you if there's a difference in your normal usage.
How long of a process will this take? Like over what amount of time?
I would say the meters in the system, the meters out of the system will take 3 to 4 months. And the plant will probably take no more than 6 months, the most on the outside, most. Probably before the end of this year, it'll be done. If we, I know they're closing pretty soon in this month.
July 30th.
If you choose to go forward. July 30th, they can go to construction, August, September, October, November. Yeah, I would say by the end of this year, you'll be complete.
But there won't be any time that we will not be without water, right?
No, you won't be out of water.
You have to chew it, that it won't get down.
On the bids that have come in, what's the ratio between labor and actual metal product, I guess, what do you call it?
I'd have to get that information for you. They don't put it, they don't usually get that way, no, they don't put, they just put price to do the job. Usually it's about 60, 40, 65, 35 for labor. But materials are always higher than labor. But if you want the information, I'll get it this morning.
So you have a hard time finding people to bid on it for us at this point?
Well, we put it out to everybody and then they can choose a bid or not. I called several people. The people that normally do this, they were doing large dollar volume plants. I mean, they're working on, how much you got one down in Mullen, they're working on there, 5 million.
Yeah.
So a lot of the companies were doing these multi-million-dollar projects. They did one over in Wilton not too long ago. They bid a $7 million plant over in Finland. They were looking at big projects, so right now, there's a lot of money on there. 2-3 years from now, there won't be any money on there.
It's not uncommon for any of the projects we've seen. It's been 1 or 2 bids on those projects.
Like I was explaining to him earlier, in 3 years, SRF's not gonna be funding anything.
No, and neither will Okra. And you did get a little bit of that interest rate.
Yeah.
Was hoping to get all extra money, but
Just on the outside of that area. Moved up the list, but not quite.
Is there any chance later on to get more money or no?
I don't see any positives from funding in the future. The only, I'll tell you what I know, and you can tell me what, all I see, USDA might have some money, but I don't see SRF or Okra, Office of Mineral Affairs, having any money. They terminated it up. I didn't see when they passed the bill that US HUD, the grant money's gone, and they took it out. They may still have some state government fund money through the state's program, but the traditional EPA program is what I was told. What I still understand is once this funding's gone, it's gone. I don't know, you guys.
What you guys were in originally with their subsidized interest rates, so SRF issues a loan at their AAA credit rating and then reloans it to communities. But as far as the traditional program subsidized interest rates, I'm not sure how long that's going to be around. There's not really any good answers. I do know that the grant funding is shrinking.
But this interest rate we have is permanent.
It's 3.13 for the life of the loan. Yep.
And it seems most of the concern is cost for people who are, money strapped or whatever. And I'm seeing where it has the $57 amount. That's probably not even the dollar amount it ends at, because that's going to have inflation built into that as we grow over the next 3 years anyway.
Well, that,
A little percentage-wise.
your rate is stuck at the 55.40 once it hits January 1, 2027. It is stuck at that until council takes action to increase rates again. So that's the 4,000 gallon bill. Obviously, your bill is less than that if you use 2,000 gallons or whatever, but until council takes action.
That's the minimum.
Yeah. So until council takes action again, after January 1, 2027, your bill will stay at the same.
Is the minimum 4,000? What's the minimum?
minimum is 2,000.
4,000 you're billed for.
Your minimum is 3,000 gallons. So before we use 4,000 gallons, that's considered the average residential household. So that's the number we use.
So if you don't use that much, your increase may not be 55.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yeah. I can tell you what it is right now. So at the end of this, if you're a minimum, at the end of this, if you're a minimum user inside town limits, your monthly bill will be like $44. So you have your minimum charge plus your hydrant charge.
Okay.
Does this proposal also have new pumps and such like that going into it, or?
Yeah, the well pumps are being replaced. The low service and high service pumps are being replaced. So all the pumps actually on the water filter plant will be brand new.
The one was just replaced, wasn't it?
They're going with 480 volts.
So it's, yeah.
The electricity is going to be cheaper. And all the FDEs driving everything, which helps with your electricity bills.
That's kind of what I was going for, is there a silver lining here that will gain some efficiency back?
Yes.
And move this up? That maybe in 3 years or something, when they can see maybe a dip as
There's a chance.
possibility.
There's a chance, I wouldn't bet on it, but there's a chance that costs could come in lower due to efficiency at the plant or things like that, where you could look at a rate reduction in the future. It's not common at all because it rarely happens with inflationary pressures, but we've seen it happen before. It's not, I wouldn't bet on it, but.
Yeah, I guess I'd go with how old the system is now compared to what you get.
Sure.
We did try to save as much as possible the chlorine system. We did change it. It's a very good chlorine system. We're keeping the high service pump or the booster pump with the chlorine system. All that stays the same, so that saves probably $150,000 in the chlorine system alone. So that's all staying in place. So building, we changed the building. We didn't do any piping inside the building as far as the drains, reused all that. So a lot of stuff was reused. And we were able to come in with a couple of alternates, and there was $130,000 savings on those since we were able to move the tanks around. So So there's some savings there as well. And if there's any value engineering items that we see as we go forward, I think he has a couple ideas. You know, move some here or there, then we may be able to save a little bit, but we want to be able to save some costs as far as keeping what's there and coming up with a couple alternatives.
Lionel, will this system be easier for you and Buzz to maintain?
Yes.
We can do away with Lyle because they're gonna have a radio meters. You won't have three meters.
Yeah, it'll be a lot easier.
Has the decision been made to actually go ahead, or is it still up in the air?
Well, we're planning on going ahead with it.
Pardon me?
Planning on going ahead with it.
And it's hard to set a number just on the chlorine too, but it should be possibly cut in half on the chlorine use, which is the same.
Should be able to save some chlorine, just reducing it. That's primary, secondary, deficient things. We'll be able to detain the mix it much better. The mixing will be much better than what it is now.
So if we save on chlorine, does that mean it won't smell like a swimming pool? Yeah,
Correct.
that's kind of, that's the only problem I ever have with my water.
You got anything else you can add?
I have a permit, if you want to copy the permit, I'm not sure if you can permit or not. And we never submitted our agreements for engineering because basically we said, and I sent that to your attorney, and I think I have a copy of it. Basically, we said if you don't do the project, you won't post anything. So we like to present those tonight. If you don't do the project, you don't close, you still don't owe us anything. But if you do, we'd like to submit those for your consideration for approval.
You're right, through this, the same things we'll be together
You did send this to Justin, so he's looked at it.
I think I have a copy, Gene.
Yeah, I printed it off too. Is there two of them?
Well, my main concern with the water project and not doing it is, like I started to say earlier, like Lowell, they couldn't afford their upgrades to take and do their water projects up there, so they ended up selling it. Well, then their water rates doubled. So you can't afford not to keep your utility. I mean, there's money in water. Otherwise, these big companies wouldn't come in and want to buy it all. So I think it's going to be cheaper in the long run for the town and the people to, continue forth with this particular program so we can get our water back up to where it should be. We shouldn't have the problems that we've had in the past. And it's drinkable water. It's going to be much better. You're not going to have the odors down at the park. And right now, we can get the funding to help pay for all this. After if we say no to this now, you're not ever going to be able to put a water plant because you can't afford it. We can't afford it on our own. So we got $700,000 grant from Okra. We've got the remainder from SRF that we're funding a bond on. And I mean, we can make a yearly payment on it and get a better water plant for generations to come. It's not just for today or 3 years from now. It's going to be quite a while. So I don't see why anybody wouldn't be in favor of that. My bill's going to go up too, the same as everybody else's. But I'm willing to take and pay that, and I'm on a fixed income. So if anybody else has got any better ideas, now's the time to speak up. This isn't just about us. This is about all of us. This is a community. Anybody got any questions there? Okay.
I'm good.
I'd say this is probably the end of the meeting for the water project. You got nothing else that we need to cover?
Again, if you want to see plans, drawings, if you want to take a tour, if you want to see other plans similar, be happy to arrange it, let you see what you get. Take pictures, we can get videos, whatever you like to do to, I guess from that standpoint, funding and rates is all, is all his area, but if you want to see the actual filter plan, we'd be happy to.
Before it's awarded, if you'd be interested in another bid to it.
Bids have already closed.
So that's done, that's it.
Like I said, we can do value engineering, you can take a look, or we'll sit down and we'll say, hey, is there any way you can see that you could change things around or anything? Sometimes once he gets final products, he gets final numbers, there's sometimes some savings. But we were able to save some during bidding, so.
All the bids that we got and stuff, they were the ones that were approved. Nobody else bid on them at this point, so. Sitting there right now, everybody else got projects going on, they're not gonna bid on this project.
Did you have anything else, Kevin?
No, I mean, all I'd add is that closing is scheduled for July 30th. So it'll close the last day of the month, and at that point, you'll have the proceeds available to draw. And can start working with contractors.
You guys got anything to cover? Nope. All righty.
Great, thanks.
Can we break? Then start, we'll go straight to the meeting.
Yep.
We'll have to stop.
All right, we're gonna stop the water meeting at 6:43.
Yeah.